Support comes from ChewWorks in La Habra, California. From custom alignments to suspension work, ChewWorks is the go-to shop for driving enthusiasts. It's Shifted Perspective on Sociology of Cars podcast. I'm your host, Shift. In this new season, my goal is to bring you other professionals that also live and breathe the automotive and racing industries. Through real conversations, we'll highlight diverse career paths, insider knowledge, and the mindset required to succeed. I have another special guest today, Graham. How's it going, dude? Basically another Porsche driving instructor, another professional I've worked with, but also a very unique background from stunt driving.
Stunt driving, yeah.
And Graham, tell us something about you that's unique.
Something that's unique about me specifically. We're getting into hard questions early. I'm a learner. Everything that I do in my life revolves around how can I learn and grow, good and bad, positive experiences and negative. That's me in a nutshell. So putting yourself in places to kind of FAFO.
That's amazing. I think that's why we get along.
Yeah.
Because we're always wanting to learn, right?
Yeah.
How would you define a stunt driver?
So there's a couple different ways of looking at stunt driver. I think the first and most common perspective is someone who can sit in the driver's seat of a car staring at a solid concrete wall and then 3, 2, 1 action, drive straight at that concrete wall. It's a mindset for sure. It's a different type of driving that kind of is intersectional between racing and drifting and base level precision, car control, but also attaching it to art. And I think the thing that really is when someone says, I am a stunt driver, they're talking about a union professional who is putting their life on the line to both entertain and keep people safe at the same time.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun.
Tell me more about that other aspect of it, because you said it's a different way of viewing it, right?
Sure. So the outside views of the stunt industry are kind of skewed in a way because they have that Hollywoodization aspect to it, which is wonderful and fun. And, you know, you see movies like Fall Guy and you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. I can't believe he's going through that. It's stunts across the board, not just with driving, but across the board requires a willingness to step into a dangerous position, but doing it in a place of confidence, knowing that your training and your background is and has lined you up to be ready to handle what you're about to do. But it really does end up being, you know, not necessarily the training and the preparation. It's knowing that when you are on the spot that you're going to nail it every single time. There's no wishy-washy in that. It's a game of problem solving and sometimes just banging your head into a wall to get the shot and make people smile and laugh and, oh, that's crazy, because at the end, really, it's just about making people happy.
What I hear is precision.
Yeah. Precision is the name of the game. It's not just raw speed in stunts. It's not just how big of a slide or how much angle you can carry. Stunts comes into how does it push a story along. And so as easy as it might be for many professionals and, you know, hobbyists alike to hop in a car and be like, hey dude, go drift that 90-degree corner over there and, you know, have fun. You can throw huge angle into it, but also understanding how you have to drive in character sometimes and saying, oh, you know, my character is just a scared kid. Is he going to come in and lay fat 11s through the corner and just send it the entire time? Or is he going to be messy? Is he going to be choppy? How do you tell that story? Because it ends up, that's the goal. It's not about you as a driver once you step onto that film set. It's about how do you add to this much larger production that is hundreds of people are working on to push that story forward. So it's a different attitude, both in stepping into risk as well as what the end goal is.
That's fascinating. I never would have thought of it that way.
It's easy to get lost in the glamorous stuff because, like, yeah, did you just hit that pipe ramp and send the car into a cartwheel and then the thing exploded behind you? Like, yeah, no, that's really awesome. And it's really fun. And it's getting to sit as an integral part of movie magic is one of the coolest things on the planet. But it's learning about the science of it too, and how the science and the art, and expanding it out of a competitive atmosphere into something where it's working together to further a goal.
Who would have thought art and science?
Definitely art, definitely science. I mean, racing is so much science in its own right.
Right.
The study of, how to build the car to how to make the brain work across the board. So.
Definitely. Now, Graham, how did you discover that being a stunt driver was an actual career path that you could take?
That is that's an interesting one. So there's a movie, my full name is Graham Hooper. There's a movie that came out in the late 70s, mid 80s. I'm bad for not remembering this, called Hooper, the Greatest Stuntman Alive. And my dad showed it to me as a kid. It's a movie directed by Hal Needham, written by Hal Needham, who was like the founder of what is now Stunts Unlimited, but also the guy that invented pretty much all of the stunt driving techniques that we use these days. And he basically stepped out of stunts, got into directing, and decided to direct a love story to aging stunt drivers and stuntmen, and what it's like, going through the hard beatings of life, but then still fighting through it and being strong, even though the young are coming up. And I was obsessed with that movie as a kid. And it was always kind of a joke because I love driving cars. I love going fast, doing silly things that I shouldn't be doing and that I shouldn't encourage people to do. And it was always kind of just a joke, like, oh yeah, I could be a stunt driver someday. If Hooper can do it, Hooper can do it. And I didn't follow that path. I actually put my racing aside for a little bit, kind of try to do the more traditional, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to go get a job thing. And after a couple really just weird jobs working for the government and stuff, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was drinking out with my buddies, and one of them looked over at me and was like, dude, why don't you just move to LA and be a stunt driver? You're a great driver. You have background in acting. Like, go see what you can do. And I was not doing anything at the time. So I just said, okay. And I picked up my entire life and shoved it in the back of a Mazda Miata and drove that to California and just started trying to meet people. And yeah, and that led me into the LA car culture, which is just the wildest thing on the planet Earth. But that's a whole other conversation.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is Hooper was the godfather of stunts.
Hal Needham was the godfather of stunts, and Hooper was fake Hal Needham.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so okay. I'll do my best to be a fake Hal Needham. That, for perspective, Hal Needham is the guy that invented like cannon rolls, which is basically blowing a car onto its roof into rolls. He invented the modern pipe ramp. So when you see cars going up what looks like kind of grinding up a skateboard ramp, that's doing pipe ramps. He invented that, and he's done in many ways what people dream about doing in stunt driving specifically. He's the guy that invented it. So yeah,
gotcha.
If you look up Hal Needham if you don't know who he is.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
History lesson as well here.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, when did you recognize that you wanted to pursue stunt driving in the industry?
In that bar that night, 100%. No, I grew up in a family that steered me in a weird way towards art more than anything. Not in a weird way. That was, what my parents introduced me to a lot as a kid. And one of the big aspects of that was film and showing classic movies. And my dad was always an action movie guy, so he raised me on movies like Ronin and Lawrence of Arabia and like Bullet, some of the greatest chase scenes that have ever existed in film. And so for a little kid like me to see that you could do that in a movie, and knowing that my dad was into cars, he really digged him, but didn't pursue that as a career. It was always kind of this thing that was off limits to me in a weird way. It was like this like intangible thing. Like, I'm not racing cars. I want to, study in school and be good at everything. But, someone out there is being a stunt driver, and that's really cool. So it was always just kind of this thought in the back of my head. It's always, if nothing else, it's a lesson to just try, because, I could have failed, and worst case scenario, I'd end up on the street somewhere, but it didn't work out. Like take the leap if you've got something poking at the back of your head.
Well, it sounds like it worked out for you. Definitely.
I mean, it's working out as well as it is in the industry right now. We're doing a big battle of kind of restructuring what people are looking at. So I hope we continue to get to make movies for people, and they'll go see them. So yeah.
Yeah, same here. Now, you mentioned movies. What was the movie or movies that influenced you to do it?
I mean, it is Fast and the Furious. It's always got to be. Come on, it's got. I was 11 years old in 2001 when it came out. I remember I think I was like camping like I said, a summer camp or something. And the kid who was in my tent had seen Fast and the Furious. They said, "Oh, this movie's Fast and Furious." And he told me the entire story one night in the tent. And just listening to this kid explain to me Fast and the Furious, I was like, I need to find out what that is. I need to do that. And yeah, it was just, it was an introduction to a side of both car culture, vehicles, and movies that I never would have thought was a real thing.
Wow. It's almost from fantasy to reality.
Yeah. It's kind of dumb because I definitely started building bucket lists off when I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to go try this. It was like, okay, you're not just going to go out blind. Like, what do you want to get done? And it's like, okay, well, I want to drive in the LA River, and I want to have a car on its roof. I want to crash into a concrete wall just to say that I can do it. I want to do a slide in a television show. I want to work on a major film. And, you go through and set down those goals. And even though they sound ridiculous, there's this kind of, it gives you that push and that dream and that want as an objective, even, and not a fantasy. Like someone had to have done this before. There's a way to do it. I just need to figure it out. Lucky for me, I figured out really, really early that when I got here, I just wasn't even remotely prepared to be a stunt driver, truly. I knew I was good, but then I got to see the caliber of the people that I was working with and the caliber of people that I was going to be competing with. And that's really what shaped my first couple of years in the industry, was going, I got some catching up to do. These guys are good. And just dedicating to the craft of driving. It's the answer.
Wow. Okay. So would you say that there's a level of thrill, like you have to be a thrill seeker in an individual to want to do this?
That is the toughest question, and I never know what my actual answer is. Yes, to some degree you do. I think I would be lying if I didn't call myself a thrill seeker. Like, I definitely have spent my life putting myself in places where may or may not have should have been there to get a little kick out of it, for sure. But I think to be successful and to kind of continue, you need to have a much colder calculus, I think, than just being a thrill seeker. From a coordinating perspective, the thing that I look for is, yes, the willingness to send yourself flying off a cliff with a parachute and say, okay, I trust that this is going to work out. But at the same time, I also know that the best people that I work with aren't convincing themselves every time that they can do this. Woo, this is crazy. It does to some degree become another day in the office for people. And while you're absolutely going to get that adrenaline kick every single time, it becomes, how do I do this the safest? How do I make it look the best? And that's just kind of dialing in other levels of precision, as you said earlier, to the work that you're doing.
So as time goes on, it's more about strategy and safety to preserve yourself to continue.
Safety, it needs to be about safety day one. If you're coming in and your logic isn't, I would like to go home at the end of today, you're probably in the wrong place, and you're in the wrong, and you're not even in the wrong place for yourself. You're in the wrong place for the people around you who are trusting you to be operating a very large, very powerful machine in the presence of people who may not have that same knowledge base as you do, may not react or think around how the vehicle is going to move in the same ways that you are. So safety, hey, number one. Thrill is like number 4. Precision, detail, and storytelling are probably locking those guys in. You have to be able to have the thrill, but you also have to be able to be ice cold the whole time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow, it's fascinating. Now, what steps did you take to develop those skills and to be noticed within the industry? What did it take in order to get there?
I think the number one answer right there is just time and presence and being dedicated to, I want to be here. This is not just a passing like, woo, this is great. But that you want to be present and a member of a community of people that are looking out for each other and taking care of each other. When I got here and, as I just said, realized how good everyone else was around me and knew that I needed to do leveling up, I spent a lot of time. For me, as someone who moved out to Los Angeles with practically $0 when I got here, that meant canyon roads, truly. I think the statute of limitations is up on this one, but I would get up, like I was bartending at the time, like once I was able to settle and get a job and work in the evenings in the bar, but mornings I would get up at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd go hit up my favorite road, and for 2 straight hours, I would ping bottom to top on that road as fast and as dedicated to my lane as humanly possible over and over and over and again. I would study books. I got speed secrets. I paid attention in detail to that. I didn't really say this. I came from a rally background, so I spent a lot of time in mud and dirt and playing around back in Virginia, but I didn't have a lot of tarmac experience when I moved out to California, and I realized, I need to get that. So 2 hours in the morning pretty much every single day. And then I would go do the actual job of stunts, which is the physical training and going to the gym, meeting people, socializing, getting prepared to do the thing I'm going to tell you about in a second, which is the sad part and the fun part. And then I would go to work, and then I would get off work, and I would go back and I would drive again for another probably 4 hours at that time. And I would sleep about 5 or 6 hours a night, and I would do that day after day after day after day after day. And over the space of about 3 years, I probably put in upwards of 10,000 hours just on that road back and forth, focusing on detail so that I could to promise myself I would never mess up.
It sounds like a lot of determination, but repetition as well.
Yeah.
There's a level of discipline.
Yeah.
It sounds like. Within your regimen, I should say.
Yes, definitely within the regimen. I wouldn't say that I'm the most disciplined person on the planet Earth. I probably could have learned the same amount in less time if I was more disciplined, honestly. And I definitely, practice with the flow of how I'm feeling in any given day. But repetition, attention to detail, and also just, finding little things that you can practice in the precision of your driving every single day. Like following one line just on my left tires and just keeping that line as long as I could, and following the right line, keeping that line as long as I could. Doing silly things like pretending to shoot a gun out the window of a car. I know that sounds really dumb, but it's like, I have more than 10 jobs that involve me sliding a 90 in with a gun out the window of a car. And it's like, is that something that you think? Don't do this with a real firearm before we go any further into that. But
disclaimer.
But if you're at the, skid pad, or you're in the drift track, and you're like, I'd always be badass to, see that, big old 90-degree slide in with the gun out the window, don't, and be cool. Stick your hand out the window and, imagine that you're that guy for a second, because it's fun. And at the end of the day, if you're not having fun while you're doing your training, like it's not going to stick as well. So enjoy yourself. Do silly things, but do it a lot.
Silly and repetitive.
Yeah.
No.
Boring, but repetitive. I don't know if racing cars ever gets particularly boring, but
I'd hope not.
yeah, hopefully not.
Otherwise, it's the wrong sport for you.
Yeah. Maybe
Now,
don't spend that money.
Graham, I'm sure people are wondering now, what car did you drive when you did rally? And then what was that road that you drove when you came to LA?
So when I came to LA is very different than the car I drove. So I was actually spoiled and also ruined a little bit by my friends in high school. I'm going to specifically shout out Ben Title, and he's off doing stuff in faraway parts of the world right now. But I had some really brilliant friends who were fantastic engineers who made me look like I didn't know how to do anything with wrenching on a car. And so I was lucky enough to drive their GC8s, which was really, really fun. Stupid cars. And spoiled enough to have a crew that was keeping an eye on me, and if I broke something, they could fix it. They could fix it. We could fix it. And just having a team of people looking over your shoulder, being like, "Hey, don't be dumb. Pay attention to what you're doing. I got your back if something goes wrong." That was that I missed that actually quite a bit, because it was just a very symbiotic relationship from people who were just passionate about doing it. It was really nice. It wasn't there. We didn't have to get professional with it. It was just friends. It was awesome.
Nice. And to clarify, the GC8, so people might not know what that
the
is.
Subaru WRX GC8, one of the earliest, the one that you think of when you think of 90s rally in that spectacular Subaru blue. Mine was not. It was black and covered in dents. But that one was very, very pretty. And it is still, I think, probably one of my like secret favorite cars. It's honestly not that fast anymore. If you go and get in one, it's kind of slow and kind of a little bit of a beater, but it's little and it flies. And we don't have little cars anymore. I know you have a small car. You know, you like light cars. There's something about how nimble it was off-road, and it was just balanced, and especially in like the sticky Virginia clay, it just glued itself to the ground in ways that a car shouldn't do off-road, and that was entirely because smarter people than me built it.
Yeah. It's that 2,800-pound mark.
Yes, and then start stripping things out of it and see where you end up on the other side of it. But isn't that a crazy thought? You know, it's like we're talking about like, here's this 2,800-pound benchmark of the decade, and you know, I still have a WRX as my daily driver, and that thing's 3,500 pounds, and you're like, you can feel it. It doesn't. I love the car. It's a really, really good car, but it's not as it doesn't spark my joy in the same way.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, you're coach at Porsche, and you drive a FRS, and you drive an S14, and I actually don't know what other cars you have off the top of my head, but like most of those are lighter, more nimble cars, especially relative to the Porsche.
Typically, yes.
So what is that for you?
I just enjoy that responsiveness and nimble, but you know, it's more of like a preference.
Sure.
When it's like making art.
Oh yeah.
You know, some cars are heavier, some cars are lighter, more power, less power.
Adaptability.
Exactly. You just got to adjust.
No one car is better than any other car. I find that my preference switches. That's one of the other big things that. Can I dive back to your other question?
Yeah, definitely.
So one of the most important things that you can get good at if you're interested in pursuing a career in stunt driving, don't overbuild one car. Go drive as many different things as you possibly can and get used to weird, freaky nuances of just manufacturers in general. Cars are just weird, and they all have personality characteristics, right? And, you know, get as much time in as many platforms as you can, because it's really easy to get caught lost in the conversation of like what the best car is for any person. But for me, it's like go get the experience in platforms, as many as possible, because then you can feel the differences. You'll get more nuance in your butt feel. Your ability to rapidly transition from platform to platform will increase, which at least in my field is an incredibly important thing to balance. Because if I can't go from a Honda Pilot one day to a 911 to a GTO to what else, FRS, like I'm screwed. If I can't make that transition quickly, I'm going to go swapping from a Land Rover Defender to a Taycan and go, oh shoot, this is different. You have to be malleable and able to move and know different platforms.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, did you have one single road that you chose
out here? Yeah. It's Little Tonga Canyon and Don't Come. Mostly because there's a big old rock slide on it right now. Little Tonga Canyon was it for me. It's a beautiful road. It's close to the valley. It is heavily patrolled by police these days. So again, don't be dumb. But it's beautiful, and it's like 14 miles from the bottom to the top. And in my brain, that's like going up and almost doing a lap of the Nürburgring in, about 7 minutes. So, it's and it's technical. And I think that's kind of one of those brilliant things about canyons as a training tool. And again, this is not, to vouch for one particular type of training over another, but it makes you adaptable again. And we keep kind of coming back to that adaptability. None of the corners on that road are the same.
Right.
And just make sure that you're respecting the other human beings that exist on that road if you go, and every road, because they're public.
Definitely.
Yeah. Be safe.
Now, on that note of adaptability, what challenges did you encounter and what came natural to you?
Parallel parking
Was
the challenge.
Really?
Was a really, oh yeah. You don't realize how bad you are at stuff until someone points a camera at you and tells you to do it perfectly. One of my first commercial jobs ever, and luckily, and so this is one of those big things where it's like, if you have any question about in stunts, you have any question about whether or not you can do it, take 30 seconds before you respond and decide whether or not you can do it. Because if you're not going to then immediately spend the time making sure you're dialed for that job, you shouldn't be doing it. Because I got one of my first commercial jobs and it was a hands-free parking, like YouTube ad, something like that. And I went, that's amazing. I'm a real driver for film and television. I wouldn't call myself a stunt driver at that time. I was a precision driver, and which is not a real thing. And I would, I went to like the store to sell. I was like, I'm taking myself out to lunch because I got my first job. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go celebrate. And I like went to go parallel park my Miata, and it wasn't good. And I went, uh-oh. I need to figure that out. So I spent the next 3 days driving around the city, dialing in my parallel parking and going to smallest spots that I could find, squeezing into anything I possibly can to make sure that next week when I show up and they're like, this needs to look like it was parked by lasers and LiDAR and sound waves and whatever technologies are being used to parallel park this car without your hands, it needs to look like that. And it did. It worked out very, very well, and it was a nice, clean parallel parking job, but scared the living bejesus out of me, for sure.
Go figure, it wasn't the actual ADAS features working. It was a human being.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Now, what came easiest to you? Or natural?
What came naturally to me? I'm driving at the concrete wall.
Like just
the easiest job of being a stunt performer, the driving straight at a wall was the part that I didn't have to practice. It's so I coordinated a Super Bowl commercial for this past year, and we had a motorcycle rider, shout out to Didi, world champion, parkour athlete and brilliant motorcycle rider. And I had to have him drive through a breakaway garage door was made out of foam. So he just kind of popped out the other side. But until you drive through a wall, until you're in throttle pointed at something that you're going to hit, you don't really know what you're going to do. And it was kind of the thing that I was most worried about kind of going in is like, I don't want to chicken out, like someone's trusting me to be here. Someone has put their reputation on the line for me to be sitting in the seat that I'm in right now. What happens if I freak out? Like, what happens if I choke? And so I'm going through this whole process, and realistically they go 3, 2, 1 action. And I was on the gas pedal and I was in the wall. And so you can spend as much time questioning whether or not you're going to do something, but until you do it and you decide, it's not even a decision. It's like 3, 2, 1 action. Okay, well, we're off. So it happened easily. It's not that way for most people, truly. And, we can dive into the psychology of, hey, you got another one in you? Didn't you just drive into a concrete wall? Yeah. I was like, can I do it again? Yeah. All right, cool. And doing it at a second time and then hopefully not a third time. It's understanding the psychology of a person that will do that, because it's very different than a racer. It's definitely different than a drifter. It's its own thing.
Yeah, because our objective is to not hit walls.
Right, exactly. It's like, how close can, and trust me when I say the 90% of the work that I do is, let's see how close to this wall we can get without hitting it, because we can't afford another car. And so that's a whole other conversation about, how production wants to spend their money.
Right.
But like, and the movie magic of it, how do I make it look like I hit this into a wall, Yeah, it's just it's a different game and a different mentality, and yeah, it came easy to me. You can practice it though. I think is the thing that's weird to think about. It's like if I go like, hey, drive into that wall, you can train yourself to drive into a wall. It may not have to come naturally, but it definitely takes a little bit of trusting your safety equipment, trusting the design, trusting the team around you who's keeping your back safe, trusting that your fire safeties are going to be in place, trusting that the boss knows what they're talking about, trusting that production's got the medic over there really, really close by, and trust. So it kind of, yeah, it's easy when you are surrounded by good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust is the name of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, was there a singular moment that you knew you reached your goal of being a stunt driver, or would you say there's a series of moments that accumulated to when you finally realized that?
Definitely the latter.
Okay.
Definitely the latter. I don't think I actually called myself a stunt driver I definitely didn't call myself a stunt driver until I hit my first object. I had been working for 3-ish years before I got my first like crash on, commercials, just cruising down the road. Here's a camera car, and stay as close as you possibly can to it for 30 seconds. And I didn't view myself as a stunt driver at that point. And I think probably because of that same bucket list that I was talking about earlier, like I would really like to do these things. And until I really start checking those goals off, I didn't go, oh, no, I'm a stunt driver. And that's stuff like I want my wheels fully off the ground. Like once they're 1 inch fully off the ground, I'm chilling. Like I can check that off the block. So, yeah, it progressed over time, and to the point that I was kind of able to say, hey, I'm looking at my own resume judgmentally right now. Yeah, dude, it counts. Like you may not have been, you're not where you want to finish this journey at any point. Probably, I'll probably always find something new that I want to try, but you're into the meat and potatoes of the journey, and it was kind of like, okay, I'm doing it. Like, yeah, that's awesome.
It's probably like a full circle moment for you, just seeing it growing up and then dreaming about it and then actually doing it.
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes, because, you get that moment of like, oh, I hope my dad is proud after sharing all those movies. And that definitely is like coming full circle and being like, I hope I made my family proud. I hope they're not too worried about me. I hope that they're happy. I hope that I am living up to my impulsive decision to move out here, and that like the support that people and the trust that people have given me over the years, it was worth it. Like I want to come full circle on that and say my thank yous to as many people as I can. But for me, I don't know. I think I'm kind of just constantly looking for what's next, and something a little bit new, something a little bit spicy. And, maybe that's just how my brain works, but I don't know if anything will ever, maybe I don't want the loop to close. I think it's important to keep driving and keep experiencing and keep playing games and keep trying to tell stories that make people see what I saw in Fast and the Furious for the first time and go like, I need to drive a car. I need to get into that thing, and I need to let me see if I can blow the doors off of it.
Yeah.
So always forward.
Always forward. Always learning.
Always learning.
Going back to what you mentioned.
Always learning.
Yeah. Now, this is one I've been wanting to ask you. So when you were dating, did women find this sexy when they discovered you were a stunt driver?
No. So my beautiful wifey, Tekla Jirova, is also a stunt woman.
Nice.
She thought I was kind of cool. She also thought I was an idiot. So that was like a one-time success. But no, almost universally, it was like, what do you do for a living? It's like, work in film and television as a stunt driver. And they're like, that's like a stunt driver? Like, yeah. And they're like, so you crash cars? Like, yeah. No. I got an anecdote for you there. So I was dating this, actually I can't remember her name right now, but she was absolutely lovely, super, super sweet, young dancer who was working kind of same time period as me. Like I just got to LA, we're doing the thing, and I was training parkour down at the Tempest Free Running Academy that was back then down in South Bay. And I was kind of doing my thing of, repetition. And I repetitioned one too many times, and I was doing a move called a cat lâché, which is basically jumping out and grabbing a bar and swinging under it, and then grabbing a wall, and my palms ripped open, which is a relatively common thing that happens in gymnastics. It's awful, but it happens. The problem was I was about, let's call it 12, 15 feet off the concrete floor when it happened, and I went perfectly flat and then pancaked on the ground 15 feet below me. Winded the living bejesus out of me, didn't break anything. But the next morning when I woke up, I couldn't move. Like, I'm stuck. This is the bed that I'm in. I managed to get to my cell phone and call up this girl and be like, hey, this is going to be really, really weird, but would you mind bringing me some food? I'll pay you for it. I'm just a little banged up today and I can't get out of bed. She's like, what do you mean you can't get out of bed? I'm like, I'm literally stuck in bed. We'd been seeing each other for about a month. So she's like, yeah, of course. Brings me food, comes in the door, and immediately, well, not even immediately. I mean, this is not fair. She checked on me. This is how sweet she was. She checked on me. She made sure I was okay. She made sure that I had water. She made sure that I had food and utensils, and then looked me straight in the eyes and goes, I can't do this. This is too much for me to handle. You're banged up, and I don't think I'm emotionally here for that sort of lifestyle right now.
Wow.
And I was like, and honestly, like, it was the best way she could have handled it. She was straight to my face about it. Like, no, I'm not, this isn't the lifestyle that I want for myself. And honestly, I respect it deeply because she looked at it and was like, no, that's okay. But she was to my face about it, like smooth, like, hey, no, thank you. And that was cool. Dude, women want, in my personal experience, and there are many different types of people on this planet Earth, but I think at the end of the day, most people just want to feel safe when they're with you. And there is no amount of explaining with my mouth that I can do that so-and-so who just, third date in, you're safe if we go drifting this car. No amount of explaining will ever kind of convince most people that they're actually in a safe place. And so, no, I think I've pulled more women by driving my Toyota Avalon casually down the street and having a conversation and taking care of them and keeping them safe more often than not.
So safe is sexy.
Yeah. Safe is sexy. Don't breaking your car by crashing it into a wall because you think she's cute isn't going to end up the way that you want it to, because if you can't afford to take her on dates because you're fixing your car, you're not driving and you're not going on dates. Your life is awful in that moment.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Now, does your wife find you sexy now?
God, I hope so. She likes my eyes. She likes the same level of dedication and the willingness to learn and practice and train. I think it's the same. It's the same skills for most people, right? Yeah. In your relationships, driving, carpentry, it's like patience, attention to detail, listening, feeling what's going on around you. That experience, practice. Put in the work and keep trying. That's the stuff that she respects. But admittedly, she could also kick my butt if I ever became unsexy. So, I'll try and keep it in line. I love you. You're amazing. Thank you, Tekla.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, Graham, what advice would you offer those considering the stunt driving industry if they want to follow this path?
Ooh, learn everything. I am really, really lucky that my path, should I go into more detail about my path? There's a whole other conversation.
Sure.
I'm very lucky that my path steered me into a lot of different platforms over the years, because I spent a good amount of time with Motor Trend, and I spent a good amount of time kind of bouncing around between manufacturers, just trying to get as much access to cars as I possibly could. And then obviously the junk cars they give you on set. But the name of the game is how do you get as much seat time as you can while still getting as much physical training in as you can. Have you ever read Speed Secrets? That's it.
I haven't. It's on my list.
Everyone should check out Speed Secrets. It's a good book. Read a chapter and then practice that chapter, and then read the next chapter and then practice the next chapter. One of the things that book points out specifically is if you put two equally skilled drivers in identical cars in identical conditions, and you say 3, 2, 1, go. The one who can, and I don't remember exactly how I phrased it, but the one who's in better physical condition is going to win, and they're going to win by a lot. And so I think in the modern conversation of, building racing drivers in particular, but building drivers across the board, the thing that I think is most valuable to getting your individual tempo to your individual 10 is your physical adaptability and the physical endurance that goes along with it. Because if your heart rate makes your heart explode at 150 BPM, first time you go out on a track, you're not going to be doing much racing. So go for a jog and truly work on your physical skills. Like I train parkour multiple times a week because, one, I love it, and two, because it keeps me fitter for the really, really long days in a car. Because 18 hours is a regular amount of time that I've spent on set overnight. And that's 18 hours where you, as I mentioned, you got to be perfect. You're not scratching the side of this car. There's no little oopsies. There's no, I backed into that cart right there. It's, how do you maintain that endurance level for an extended period of high level stress? Whether you let the stress get to you, that's a whole other conversation, but you're still going through the stress. So yeah, physical endurance, lots of training. Do boxing. Boxing is a good one, especially because of eye-hand coordination, which translates really well to driving.
Nice. So physique, endurance. Now, how about schooling? Maybe meeting the right people. Is that a thing?
Meeting the right people is 99.999% of the job. Stunts is a really, really small industry. Everyone's watching everyone at all times. So taking time to learn from people in that community is critical, because there's not really a school that you're going to go to that's going to talk to you about kicker angle on the end of a pipe ramp. Again, pipe ramp being those like skateboarding rails for cars. No one's going to tell you that unless you're present, looking at it and going, why is that the way that is? And that's one of the big failures that I see from a lot of newer stunt people, especially in the driving side, is that they may be fantastic drivers, but they're not inquisitive, and they're not trying to build depth into what it is that they do, and they're not trying to learn as much as they can around their job. And they kind of let that all present driver ego get in the way a little bit. You know the one.
Yep.
You can be spectacular, but you're working with a team of 400 people right now. Let's all work together there. So yeah, willing to learn, willing to ask questions. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. And so if you see something, say something, ask questions, and keep an open mind, because our knowledge is passed down from person to person to person to person, and you have to be there to learn it.
Makes sense. Now, I've seen these driving clinics.
Sure.
Up there at Willow Springs.
Sure.
Now, would you recommend that?
Depends on the person. It depends on the person. So there's two paths into stunt driving. I was lucky. I should make it probably more clear. Stunt driving is just stunts. You can arguably not be an exemplary driver and get a stunt driving job, because you are a double already working on the movie and you're really good at falling down the stairs. And they only got a 30-second shot. It's not too complicated. They're just going to chuck that person in because it's easier that way. But realistically, driving is a long path. So most stunt coordinators want to see you take knocks first and be like, is this person willing to chuck themselves down the stairs? All right, cool. We can trust them with a rolling rocket ship that weighs 4,000 pounds. Yeah, so.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Well, got to be willing to throw yourself down some stairs and into some walls.
You do. Stair falls are fun. Don't do them for not money though. That's not, actually, ironically, not one of those ones that you want to practice, but we're here to talk about cars.
Right. Yeah. Now, given everything that you've experienced in the stunt industry, would you do anything differently?
I feel like if the answer is no, then that's the wrong answer. Yeah, I there are probably 50 million different things that I would do differently, but I'm also really proud of my method of doing it as well, because I definitely, took a little bit of a different direction. I kind of walked around certain things that I'm not supposed to walk around. Would I do anything different? No, I don't think I would. I am very proud of how my personal hustle has connected me with people that want to see me succeed, and I want to help them succeed. Stunts, usually you need to have, you need to spend a lot of time before you're given the opportunity. I'm a little bit impatient, and I also know what I know about myself. And so I made a decision saying like, hey, if I have to sit in this line for, 5 years, what if those 5 years never come and I'm just kind of sitting here doing nothing? So I started reaching out and finding other contacts. That decision was a challenging one, truly, because it's not smiled upon in a lot of places, because, you're supposed to get a mentor and you're supposed to do what the mentor does and you're supposed to follow them and fall down that chain of succession and have it passed you. At least that's how we play the game. And I didn't. I said, there's too much work going on right now for me to not go find it. I probably would be a little quieter about it. If I was going to change something, I probably wouldn't be like, hey, look, I'm a working stunt driver now, because, 86-year-old dude's pissed at me now because, I didn't ask him permission to work in his field. Yeah, I think I would have probably just been a little quieter about my early successes, and been a little less. I had a bigger ego. I definitely had a bigger ego back then. Now that I'm verbalizing it, kind of sitting there being like, hi, I did this without you. But at some point, as I was saying earlier, it's like someone does have to teach you the bigger stuff. Like you have to have someone sit you down and be like, this is how this is going to work. This is the process. For me, that was a guy named Lane Levitt and his son, Danny Levitt. And they were very generous with sharing their institutional knowledge with me.
Oh, less ego, more networking. Now,
yeah. Always more networking.
With that said, how or what led you to Porsche? Whether it was how through industry of stunts, or was it just like a random shot? Kind of random shot
in the dark. So you know our coworker Rain, who another brilliant driver and stunt guy. He posted something, and this was I don't even know. I've been there for almost 4 years now, I think. He had posted something, doing something fun at Porsche, and probably the Circle, just doing a really clean textbook donut. And like, oh damn, that's good looking, dude. And I was like, man, that is awesome. I want that job. That's so cool. And like, I didn't actually want the job. I was just being like, that's really cool, and I'm jealous. Like I was doing pretty okay at the time, and like I really wanted that job. And he's like, do you want a job? I said, what? And I hadn't even thought about it before, because like, those people that you come across every once in a while that like think they need to like possess knowledge and not share it with younger people. I kind of a little bit of that. For sure. Because it was like, I've been working my ass off. I've been putting my 3 hours in the morning and my 5 hours at night every single day for 3 years. I've been studying. I've been reading books. I've been listening to podcasts. I'm study. Why would I just hand that information over to other people, right? In a context, selling that to people, being like, hey, you come in, you can, I will teach you that. Wasn't something that I ever would have thought I enjoyed. And I was very, very wrong about that. But he's like, yeah, dude, come in, do an interview, see if you like the place, see if you get along with people, and worst case scenario, you're gonna do your interview, and you'll learn something. And best case scenario, if you want to have a job in between the stunt jobs, you have a job. And I was like, well, damn, I hadn't even thought about it. Why not? Let's go down and try it. And pretty much immediately walking through the door, it was clear that the caliber and the knowledge and the attention to detail in that place was key. And that sparked an interest that I didn't think I was going to have, because it's like, I'm not 100% certain I'm ready now to go teach people how to drive cars. Like now I have to start thinking about how do I share that knowledge that I've spent so long saying don't share it with people. And the journey of learning how to work with people and personality types, and since I've been there, has been one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life, truly. And it's made me a better driver by a lot. And I didn't think that was going to be a thing, but it's again, finding that finesse and that precision in detail of everything that you're going to do. And also just one of those weird things that you don't get in stunts, specifically because it's on film, is a direct feedback for what you're doing. You're not directly entertaining other human beings. It's secondary. And like, yeah, everyone on set might be like, oh my God, that was crazy what he just did. But, you know, and that's fun, but you're not actually getting to interact with the audience and see people smile because of the cool stuff that you're able to do. And Porsche, I do get that feedback. I get to actually experience the joy of my clients and say, oh man, you know, this, whatever this, the ice hill has really sparked a level of interest in this guy, gal, you know, let's unpack why they really like this. Like, why does this speak to someone? And like, in many cases, it's, you know, moments of discovery from people who hadn't. Hey man, you ever spun out $186,000 before? Oh my God, no, never. Do you want to? No, I don't. Like, I really, it's like, nah, trust me, dude, like, we're going to go do it. And then you find this guy who, you know, hopped out with his New Balance on and white knee-high socks and was like, I want to go do the drag strip 50 times, spends, you know, an hour and a half drifting around in the water because it sparked an interest or a joy that, you know, that person didn't even know that they could be interested in. And so it's opening up, for the first time, opening something that I love to other people, and hopefully in interesting ways that will keep them in love with the same hobby, experience, profession that I'm in love with.
That's beautiful and poetic.
Yeah.
And I resonate with all that. I've definitely become such a better driver.
Yeah. And you're like, when? How did I? Where did this goodness come from?
Right. And I feel the same as that satisfaction that you grasp from that light bulb going off with that individual.
Yeah.
That's just, it's priceless.
It really is. There's always been, have you ever heard the expression, those who can't do teach?
Yes.
So that expression used to scare me, especially when I first started there, is that I was like, am I, one, are people going to look at me like that because, you know, oh, here's this guy who's got an awesome career. Like, what do you know, is from the internal optics of stunts, like, is this guy, you know, he's taking a day job. But for me, it ended up being such a true game changer and a perspective shift, I think, again, into, as you say, seeing that light bulb come on. You know, you wonder, like, why did Miss Johansson teach for third grade math for, you know, 65 years? Because the little light bulbs going on in people's heads, and seeing stuff click is really, really rewarding. And I never would have thought, yeah, it's a really magical thing. And especially in a Porsche, because they're magical cars and people it's not every day someone says, hey man, here's $186,000. Let's go spin it out. And it's going to be perfect. And it's going to back you up. It's cool that is an available option for people to have, truly.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of magic, Graham, what's next for you?
Ooh, what's next for me? I've got a couple coordinating jobs coming up with a company that I'm not going to tell you about, but I did the Super Bowl commercial for them this last one. So we're going to bang some bicycles around on that one. And then I've got... Actually, I can't even talk about that. A couple music videos are coming out soon, and I've got a movie coming out on Tubi in the middle of the summer. So, world is good. World is good.
Thank you so much, Graham. That's so much insight. Even now, just sitting here with you, I've learned so much, and I'm sure our viewers will feel very much the same, if not enlightened at the very least. And who knows? Maybe there's some others out there that are willing to try this crazy industry that you're in. That actually reminds me of a story, speaking of seeker of knowledge. So imagine, you know, let's just say, middle school aged shift. I'm there. I'm that person that was obsessed with cars ever since I can remember. So I'm watching best motoring videos. I see a new car. I see a new configuration. I learn something new. I'm like, whoa, I need to research more. Then I go find some forum, and I'm that kid or that person that I find that one thread, and there's like over 100 pages.
Sure.
I go through every single page and read every single person's comment just to find maybe there's that one little gem somewhere, or maybe there's several gems. But here and there, so many walks of life sharing all that knowledge, right? Or if today people use Reddit or it's YouTube channels, maybe you'll find some knowledge somewhere. But it's really just how much time and effort you have to spend. And you can resonate with that in stunts, right? So how much time and effort did you spend to fine tune yourself? So it's just that reflection of just me as a little kid and getting to this point to where I am now.
Sure.
It's just so amazing to where I'm like, I look back and I'm like, wow, who would have thought we would get to this point?
Living the dream.
Now, Graham, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Probably going to be most responsive on Instagram at Hooper Stunts. Honestly, feel free to reach out to me at any time on there. I'm pretty communicative. Always down to answer questions. And yeah, thanks for having me on, dude.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Graham. Shifted Perspective is produced by Sociology of Everything, supported by ChewWorks in La Habra, California. I'm your host, Shift. Please feel free to reach out to me on social media, found in the description, or email me at shift@sociologyofeverything. Together, we shift perspective, expand possibilities, and become insiders. Thank you so much for listening, and see you guys next week.